Are you recording, Nurek? Yes. Also here? Perfect. We're live.
All right. Hello, I'm Radek.
I'm Michael.
And this is the podcast.
A sounding board for interesting ideas and insights. We discuss books we read and want to share with you.
As well as technology and productivity, which is what we do by day, working on our app, Nozbe.
Or whatever else comes to mind.
So this is, fifth, sixth time maybe?
Recording live
from Nozbe Reunion.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of new listeners since that.
What? I can touch you.
Yes. Don't though.
Yeah.
So
don't mess with your mic.
Yeah, and don't mess with my mic either. There's a lot of new listeners, so maybe you explain like what's the idea behind the Nozbe Reunion in the first place.
So we work at Nozbe. Nozbe is here on my shirt. Nozbe, in our company, we are 24 people right now, and everybody works from no office. So everybody works from homes. And we are spread all over Poland and all over Europe as well. And the world, actually, which we'll talk about today.
Yes.
So we're spread on different in different countries, different cities, and different continents even. And we meet twice a year. And this is our fall meeting. We always meet at in the fall and spring. And this is our fall meeting. And for a whole week. So we actually rent out almost an entire hotel.
Yeah.
We have a big conference room and we just geek out. We work a lot. We discuss things, which we'll discuss today.
We don't work at all.
Yeah, we don't work at all. And then we what we do is we drink, eat, have fun, like today what we did, and today a few days before. Yeah, I forgot about the laser tags.
Yeah.
Did you put them? Okay. So anyway, the idea behind this is to just be together for a whole week. Just find out who's behind the avatar that's normally that is normally working with you every day, and just to connect on a deeper level, exchange ideas, and just get to know each other just better. What we find out is every time we meet like this, after that we just have more energy and more drive to work, because and then also the cool thing about it is that we look forward to each meeting. Just before, a few weeks before, we already can get can't wait to see each other. Which, contrary to a normal work where you have a normal office and you go to the normal office and there is a company offsite, you don't want to meet the same people. Like you don't want to meet them again, on the weekend or something like that.
Yeah.
And this is not a weekend. We don't work on the weekends. The whole Nozbe Reunion start on Monday with our lunch. So everybody has to get, by late lunch on Monday. And we leave on Saturday morning after breakfast or before breakfast, or depending on who has which itinerary.
Yeah. The most important part is I guess just to have fun and spend time together. I think that's what's most valuable to most people, because we rarely see each other more than twice a year in person. Yeah. And so this is a special moment, not something you kind of dread doing, and it's just
It's not like I as a boss force you to see each other. We just we can't wait to see each other. And then in our case, we managed to record another episode when we were both in California.
Oh yeah,
at the WWDC, our
true.
100th episode, which we'll link in the show notes. But apart from that, normally we see each other twice a year, so it's something special.
Yeah, sometimes we also have like important topics to discuss, like kind of talking shop. Important kind of strategic decisions to make and things to discuss in groups, but we find that over time there's less and less of that, and partly it kind of sucks because it's really fun to just be together in one place and figure things out, but it's just there isn't much need for it. Like we know how to communicate effectively while working remotely, mostly asynchronously, so there's rarely much need to discuss things that had to wait until this twice a year opportunity. So there were things that we figured out during this week, but really not that much. It's mostly been spending time together and presentations, too many of them. we'll get back to that.
Yeah. So I think our pyramid of communication, which we'll link to the episode about it in the show notes, works. So we really communicate very well. So as you said, we don't postpone decisions until we meet in person. But I think I would argue that on this reunion we made some key decisions, and also we had some key arguments or key conversations, and I want to talk about them here.
Yeah, we did, but I feel like they have mostly been the timing just worked to discuss them now, but it's not something that we would have waited for.
That's true.
For a long time, if we didn't just happen to have, this reunion a week or 2 weeks from when this popped to our head that, hey, we need to discuss this. And especially that, so what we do is every half a year before the reunion, Michael has one-on-one chats with everybody in the company.
Yeah.
So you and I, we chat a lot, but most people in the company don't. Mm-hmm. So it's usually like this once, twice a year opportunity to like really have time one-on-one with the boss to discuss like whatever things have been on people's minds. And so like that's something that then brings new topics that, because of the timing are just like something to discuss on.
I still think that the individual chats that I have before this meeting mm-hmm. could be improved.
I think so too.
I have to do some homework. How to perform these kind of chats, how to prepare for these kind of chats better. I found out that I wasn't as prepared as I would want to be before each chat. But anyway, still, thanks to these chats, for example, I convinced two of our people from the team, from support team, Emilia and Ola, to create presentations for the reunion about their passion projects. So Emilia, she is she works in customer support, and she is responsible for the Chinese market, and she speaks Chinese perfectly, and she lives in Taiwan. So we really, and it was actually for me the first time I saw her in person, and she works here like 2 years already or something like that. So I've seen her before on through Zoom, but never in person. So it was our first time to meet each other, and she did a very cool presentation about Taiwan, about the different cultural circumstances of Taiwan and Poland and Europe and the Western world and the Eastern world, and her passions. I mean, she's right now working on a book, and so it was great to get to know her better and to just have a presentation about somebody's passion project. And I think, and then Ola, who she just graduated. She's studying Russian, and she is responsible for our Russian customers. And she wrote her thesis on beers in Russia, which is kind of crazy because I thought Russians only drank vodka, but apparently not only. So she gave us a whole presentation about beers, and it was great because I thought I knew some, but I didn't.
No.
So it was great.
You don't.
Exactly. So for me, I think one of the takeaways from this is that we should convince people to create maybe 1 or 2 presentations about people's passion projects, because like these presentations were really great, and we were like really listening. It was fun, and we learned so much about Ola and Emilia through these presentations. It was fun. It was good. I really liked it.
Yeah, especially that even though we're a small company and we kind of think of ourselves as one team and everybody knows everyone else, still it's natural that I as someone in the development team know people in development the most, and I don't know people who work in customer support as well. Many of us just didn't know that much about their passions, all as beers and and Emilia's adventures in Taiwan, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was good to learn.
Yeah. So I think for example, Marcin, who's our video and audio guy here, he likes to do triathlons, and we discussed triathlons in the previous episode of the podcast, and I was talking to people here on the reunion, and then they asked me to maybe we could do a presentation on triathlons at some point, on one of the on one of the reunions, because it's our passion, and that's why I think convincing people or trying to convince people to do presentations on their passion projects is great, because we learn. There's this whole world of something there, whole world of beers, whole world of, Taiwan and, Eastern Asia and everything. So, yeah, I think, it was good. I liked it.
Yeah. But I think that the problem we had on this reunion for me is that there was too much of that. There were too many presentations. Like there was very little kind of empty space in between all the presentations and all of the, just going out to eat and get back and have a break in between, to like have time to chat like individually with people. Like even though there aren't that many things to discuss, like the problem with those presentations is that we sit in one place for a long time in this room, and it just gets really tiring, right? Like it's easy to, like, even if it's interesting, it's just natural for me and for a lot of people to get bored, simply because like I cannot like be in one place and just listen for such a long time, and so it's kind of tricky because we had like 10 presentations. That's quite a lot for 4 days mostly, because today I don't think we have any more.
No, we will just wrap up the thing. So
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of tricky because like it's not the point. Like there isn't much point in coming here and then spending most of the time sitting in one place in this one room listening to people talking, right?
So what would you do?
I don't know. It's tricky because, a presentation that's kind of well prepared, well done is going to be both much more interesting and much shorter, but it takes a lot of time to prepare, right? And so I just, maybe we should have a bit more discipline in just cutting things out and like not making presentations that many of them and that long, and then have more space, for everyone to have some time for themselves and to have time for individual chats, because 8 hours in this one conference room is just too much.
Yeah, maybe. Also, yeah, I think because we already scheduled like time to work together, but blended with the presentation time, and
yeah,
maybe that's why. Maybe we should really be like a bit more stricter, that we really have like actually more time for the work to get together or work together, time. So like for example, in our management team, we wanted to have like a good quality conversation, and we didn't have time for that. So what we did is like we went for a coffee and we had to get back very quickly.
Yeah,
and then another day we finished the conversation, and I think we would have even a deeper one if we would be able to stay longer, and we couldn't because there was another presentation coming. And so I think you're right. I mean, I think we should consciously schedule more time to work together,
and we should
discuss things together.
Yeah, but there's also like on the schedule for every day there was like 1 hour of like kind of free time, because like in a day there's like small bits and pieces of time where you can like do whatever, but there's this one scheduled hour, because like spending more than 5 days together
is tiring.
It's really tiring, especially like in a team where probably 2/3 of the people are introverts.
Yes.
It's quite exhausting. But of course, because we're terrible at scheduling, on Tuesday, the hour just disappeared. There was no hour.
Yeah.
The second day, there was like 30 minutes, maybe, not 1 hour.
Yeah, I think another thing was what we did. I think the mistake that we did is we, with the lunch, we always got desserts. We should cancel the desserts.
Yeah.
Because the desserts, first of all, this is, it's more, calories and stuff. But second, the desserts extended the lunch. because otherwise the lunch would be like half an hour, and it was always almost an hour the lunch with dessert. And we're more than 20 people, so they first served the soup, then they served the second course, and then they served the dessert. So it just takes more time, and we should cancel that. I think
it's really not necessary because like
no, we don't need dessert.
Like we eat quite a lot on the reunions. We have like our lunch is like pretty much like dinner, and then we have like late dinner.
Yeah.
Like we don't need that. And speaking of that, there was always a few people who like there are a few vegetarians on the team, and so when we would go get lunch or dinner, they would get different dishes.
Yep.
But we figured like, hey, why don't we ask them to get us
low carb
meals, right? Like if they can prepare something without meat for someone, then they can prepare something without potatoes and pasta and rice for us.
Yeah.
How did that work out?
It worked brilliantly.
No.
So in 100% of the situations, it worked bad. No, actually, no. There were two lunches that were good.
Yeah.
But let's see. I mean, we'll have lunch in a few minutes. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, like the cook was so confused what it means to not to have carbs. It was freaking amazing. Like I said, no carbs. What do you mean no carbs? I'm like, no rice, no. So you say no potatoes but rice. I'm like, no rice, no potatoes, no pasta. And he goes, yeah, I got this. And then we got risotto, which is rice actually. So we got risotto instead of dumplings, and I would actually prefer the dumplings, because Polish dumplings are really good. So if you want me to eat carbs, then I want to have freaking good carbs. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't work very well. That's why for the future reunion, we will have to really like talk to them and explain to them, or actually have a contact with the cook before we come here, to direct contact with the cook and explain to him what we mean by that, because it would have been so simple. Just give us the same amount of meat, just give us more veggies, and we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
There is no need for anything special or extra.
But it's really amazing. Like you're a cook, like. This is what you do. This is your job.
You have one job.
You have one job, making food, right? And like, it's not that difficult. And like, as a cook, you probably should know what are carbohydrates. Or someone doesn't eat dairy.
Yeah, exactly.
And they also screwed it up half of the time.
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's not that difficult.
I mean, she really can't have it. I mean, it's bad for her health. So it's not like she can, whatever, I'm gonna eat it. No, she cannot eat it. And then she would have to ask every time, does this contain dairy? And they would be like, I don't know.
It's amazing.
There is some improvement there. But I really think when we organize next one, contact directly the cook, just with the cook. We should have that.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing I wanted to talk about, speaking about the presentations.
Yeah.
Yours was better.
Yeah, I know.
You apparently you prepared because it was shorter.
I didn't.
Well, anyway, it went very well.
Yeah, I think so too.
And the good thing about it is that I provoked very cool discussions.
Yeah, it was quite good. It was a bit over an hour, including a lot of digressions and questions and whatnot. Because it was quite good. It was packed.
We normally, like when we have presentations, we discuss. So like very often we just don't let presenter finish presentations. We ask questions right then. So keep explaining what you did.
So like the thing is, I'm an okay presenter if I prepare, but I cannot do this spontaneously. Like I'm not good at just like coming on the stage and making it up as I go. I'm terrible at this, right? And so half a year ago, I had an idea like, hey, like we have so many like interesting ideas we've discussed on the podcast related to productivity, and like let me share them, right? So I prepared my my slides, but I didn't have time in the week before the reunion to like rehearse, and it went pretty bad. It took over like 2 hours, and like I was it was quite embarrassing, but like it's just like because I didn't rehearse, and those are the kind of like things like the ideas that I could much more easily discuss them in English actually, because that's what we do. But like I had to as I went, had to like translate my thoughts about those topics in English into Polish, and that didn't go so well. And this time around, I did a talk about automation. So this is also related to topics we've discussed on this show, and Nurek will put links in the show notes about using workflow on iOS and Automator on the Mac, and like smart checklists in Nozbe, which we actually never discussed, and we should write it up.
Do them. Mm-hmm.
We should also write it up on our blog. And those were mostly screenshots and screencasts, so they were pretty self-explanatory, and I guess that helped because I also did not rehearse.
Yeah, but you had very good examples and very thought-provoking examples, and this is what helped because the discussion was really good, and people really got interested about automation, and we had the whole discussion, which was really good, about why you should automate stupid chores, and because of course people were saying, you're geeking out, why you spend so much time automating, you would have been better off not doing that. And you had a very cool slide showing that when you automate, you spend more time, invest more time, but in the long term you win, because something that takes you 5 minutes takes you 10 seconds, and over time it's just compounds. Like the whole prep for the show, for the podcast it's just easier. And for me, what really counts is this preparation. That is the thing that you lower the barrier of entry. So, so you are more inclined to do something if you know it will take you just a few clicks instead of few tens of clicks.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that very few of the things I showed off are directly useful for anyone else. Only a few workflows are, but most of them are very specific to me, or to my workflows, or for my needs. But like the thing is, I've seen the tools. I've seen workflow on iOS, for example, like 2 years ago. I've seen you do a few things, but it takes a leap of imagination, because you see examples from someone else and they do not apply to you. And before you start thinking in this mindset of you can automate things, like you don't realize how many things are automatable and worth automating.
Yes.
And so even though very few of those things were directly applicable to anyone else, what I hope to do is inspire, like show like, hey, this is what was my problem, and this was my thought process of how to go about solving it, and this is the solution. And hopefully with enough examples, you start connecting the dots in your mind that, hey, like, actually, maybe this thing, I could use like this little tip, and like maybe use this, and maybe connect this together, and then you iterate over time, and you find out that there's a whole lot more you can automate and simplify than you thought.
And we've been over this. We will have a follow-up episode about Radek's iPad. iPad only experiments, and how iPad forced him kind of in a very nice way to simplify lots of things, and he's grateful for that. So we'll have discussion about that in the future episodes of this podcast. So stay tuned and subscribe. But yeah, it was very cool, and what I really liked is that coming from that, we had a discussion about the tools that we use every day. Like, did this provoke the discussion? What kind of tools do you use? What kind of apps do you use? Like, because we realize we don't share this information with the rest of the team. People like hold really on to their apps to themselves, and suddenly, people from different departments were showing their apps. And and these apps apply to everyone. They're not like some of them are department specific, like for customer support, for marketing, for developers. But some are really like general good stuff and good things.
Because the thing is that it's hard. Like on the day-to-day basis to show that. Like sometimes someone would post a link to Slack with like, hey, here's an interesting tool, but like very few people will be so motivated and so amazed to like post screenshots and explain like, this is the exact workflow I go through to use this tool. So this is a good opportunity. And actually half a year ago, after my terrible presentation, what was great was it did provoke discussion about like authors showing discussing. We asked everyone to discuss their productivity pro tips, and a few people showed off some software tools for that.
Yeah.
And so like I hope that this is going to be a recurring theme
Yes.
every half a year to like show off like, hey, here's some new like pro tips, tools, whatever, right? Because like it's actually like this being in one place really helps with sharing that sort of knowledge, I think.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Speaking of knowledge,
Yeah.
yeah,
So the app of so there is always an app of the reunion. There's always like an app that just stands out that like people start using or are using on the reunion or start using on the reunion. And apparently Radek,
yeah,
after visiting Spain and Panama, got the bug of learning Spanish. And because I speak Spanish, I try to motivate him to do it. And and actually, he doesn't need that much motivation. He's just, he got bitten by the Spanish bug. And there is this app for that, right?
yeah. I've been for the last week, I guess. Well, for the last few days, I've been playing with this app called Duolingo, which is really popular. But this is an app that helps you learn your languages. And yeah, I wasn't going to learn Spanish. I'm like, Radek, don't. Like my mental calculation was not like, yeah, you should do it. I'm like, no, this doesn't make sense. Like, I don't need it. Like, why would I, like, learning a language is an enormous effort, right?
Yes.
A potential time sink, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense. But it's this grain of sand in my brain that just I can't help it. I keep thinking about this, and so.
Well, I try to convince you also with data, like, like how many countries do speak Spanish. That's, 30% of the USA speaks Spanish. Yeah. And all, like, basically when you go to the USA, like everybody's serving you, stuff or helping you out with hotels and everything. They're Spanish speaking people. So it's really helpful and it's a powerful language, and it's quite simple language if you think about it. Of course, it has, its own small problems at some point, but generally it's pretty simple and very has a very nice intonation and I love it. And and what learning languages gives you this power that suddenly you can speak to somebody in their own language, and you can maybe get by easier and also have fun doing it.
Yeah, and also like it really helps or doesn't help depending on how you look at it. That on this reunion, like there's a few people in the company who speak Spanish. You obviously speak Spanish fluently, and Rafael speaks Spanish a bit. Delfina, I believe.
Yes, she does. Yeah.
I think someone else as well. No.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, and and especially in our customer support team, we have people speaking so many languages.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of intoxicating, like and like we heard Emilia speak Chinese, and we were like blown away out of the water. It was amazing.
I think there's a total of 13 or so languages that we speak in our 20-something person team.
Yeah, we're
so
pretty
not
good.
too bad.
Like Martina speaks both Korean and Japanese. I mean, it's awesome.
No, but anyway, it's useful because like you started texting me on iMessage in Spanish. Rafa has been doing it for weeks for some reason, and like I sometimes have like random questions. Like I sit next to Michael and I'm like, explain to me the difference between soy and estoy, right? And Michael explains, right? So it's quite cool, like a good opportunity to practice with people who already speak it.
Yeah, and I decided not to stay let me rust, with that, and I decided to play with Duolingo as well. Maybe not as faithful as you yet, but I want to try. So I started learning French. And French is very much related to Spanish, so it's easier for me, to find some common ground with Spanish and with English. So And my assistant Natalia, she's fluent in French, so I thought, maybe I can bug her the same way you bug me about French things, and I'm gonna learn, use Duolingo to learn some French, and let's see where it gets me, because I've had over my lifetime I had 3 or 4 opportunities where I wanted to really start. I said to myself, I'm going to start learning French right now, and this never worked. So let's see if the 5th time is the charm. But yeah, I also like playing with the app anyway, the Duolingo app, which is really fun. So let's see where it gets us. And so maybe in half a year we'll tell you that he speaks Spanish now. I start speaking French. That's going to be interesting.
It is, because it's possible that I'll tire out in a few weeks.
Oh yeah, same for me.
But maybe not. It's really fun, and the fact that we chat every week, it gives us a lot of opportunity, because we always chat for sometimes a few minutes, sometimes half an hour before and after the podcast. So if I continue with Spanish, we'll be able to chat a little, or I'll be able to send you really broken Spanish texts, and you'll be able to reply or correct me or whatever. And that's such a good way to learn, to be actually exposed to this all the time.
Exactly.
And Duolingo is really interesting, because when I was learning English, this has been such a long time ago that I've started that it's hard to remember the exact details, but it's always been somewhere, because English is everywhere. But I had English at school, and in school you learn languages in a very specific way, which is usually very school-like, which is dry, and you start with
grammar and and really boring shit. And sorry about that. And the thing is that you never learn how to speak.
Yeah.
I have here in our reunion, I mean, because we obviously were discussing learning languages, and many people said, I was learning German 7 years. I have no clue how to say, the basic stuff in German. I'm like, come on, 7 years.
Yeah.
You could have been fluent by now,
Yeah.
And this is amazing, how broken the system is to teach, children languages at schools.
Yeah. I had 3 years of German in middle school and 3 years of Russian in high school. I know next to nothing. And of course, I was not motivated. I did not care. I did not want to learn those languages. So that's a large reason. But still, in 3 years, even having to go to those classes and pass exams, just barely, still, I should have learned much more. I've learned so much in last 3 days playing with Duolingo. Yeah. And it's it's strange at first, because you're used to this very dry kind of structural way of learning languages. And Duolingo is the exact opposite. You learn almost like a child, pretty much fully through our natural pattern recognition.
Yeah.
Abilities. There's no explanation, nothing. You just have simple, a few kinds of exercises and simple examples, from English to Spanish, from Spanish to English, and sometimes there's little pictures, and you figure it out as you go. And that's so much better. And bots are awesome. You have people who don't exist write to you, and you have a conversation about a topic, and you have this help me reply button, which shows you a few kind of phrases that you can use in this context. And this is such a cool way. And so far seems effective way to learn languages. Though, of course, it once you know more than one, it's easier to learn more.
Yeah,
you already have a certain more kind of brain flexibility.
Well, I still remember when I was traveling to Japan, because we have quite a few Japanese customers at Nozbe. So we had a big presentation there, and a press meeting and whatever. So just before the trip, a month and a half before the trip, I started learning Japanese with Pimsleur audio course, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to learn anything, in a month and a half or a month. But every day I was learning 30 minutes, through this Pimsleur repetition thing. And I was amazed that when I was there, I could ask for directions. I could ask for things. I would, I could actually ask something of a waiter in the restaurant. I could really, communicate with Japanese people. And my Japanese right now is really at low point because I'm not practicing. But I was just surprised that you can very quickly pick it up and be able to do something with it,
Yeah.
And I was just amazed. And judging how Japanese people speak English, it's easier for me to learn Japanese than for them to speak English, actually. But it was great. And Japanese were very thoughtful and very understanding that I'm this white guy who tries to speak their language, and they would really help me out. So it was fun, and I'm sure that I also connected with them on a different level, because it's a different thing that you start a presentation in English, but the first thing you do, you introduce yourself in Japanese, and you ask if you say a few phrases in Japanese before you switch to English. It builds a better rapport with the audience and with people.
Yeah, I remember a friend of the show, John Sandel, when he was speaking on a Polish conference, he started by saying hello in Polish and saying what his name is and saying a few sentences like speaking for a minute or something in Polish, and I was like this blew everyone away, and everybody was back to focus, which on the last presentation before lunch on conferences is very much needed.
Yeah, so this is another thing. You connect with people on a deeper level when you speak their language. So it's always useful just to learn something. If you're traveling to a different country, learn something, learn some basics. But if you can, have some friends who speak this language, then you should take advantage and the opportunity. And it's good that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Let's see how far we go.
I think we should also discuss, briefly mention a few fun things that we've been doing.
Yeah. So on Wednesday we did laser tags. So it was cool. I've never done that before in my life.
Laser tag either.
So and quite a few people did it for the first time. So we were shooting at each other, which is not maybe the best way, but it was fun. And it was fun. I mean, even with keep competing with the other group, I didn't feel very vindictive or very violent, but it was just fun. It was just pure fun.
You had the most kills of everybody.
I'm a killer gene there. It was fun. It was great fun and quite. I think it was actually quite tiring. I was sweating like a pig. It was amazing.
Yeah, there was a lot of running in this.
Running, hiding and movement and I'm sure we've been using some muscles that we normally don't use that much. Especially when we work on the computers. And then today we did repeat our go-kart thing. So we were doing go-karts and racing each other. And you were faster than me, man.
Yeah, I was. I'm not going to say impressed, but I was quite pleased with my performance. I don't normally have a competitive streak, but I was quite pleased to have my own kind of skill better than the last time. Mm-hmm. It's really fun to be able to go start turning and do it faster and race with yourself and do something like so smoothly when the last time you'd go off the track.
Yeah. No, it was, and then it was we had the first training, and then there was a qualification, and then there was the race. And for me, the fun part was at the race because Rafał, our VP of product, was just ahead of me, and I was racing him. So I overtook him. He overtook me when I made the mistake, and then I was just following him when he made his mistake. I overtook him. So it was just so much fun to be racing against each other, and I loved it.
Great. and Rafał was in his home base. This is his city. This is his karting track, and so I was quite pleased to beat him.
Yeah. So on the another note is that I am a father of 3. So when there was a very fast straight, I didn't have that much courage to really push it all the way. I was I had my my moments where I was just but I like the curves and then trying to so yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah, one thing I hope we'll do maybe on the next reunion is paintball. I would prefer paintball to laser tag because it feels more real. It's the pain is important. But laser tag was very fun as well. And I have to find out if there's a laser tag place in my city, because it's fun because it's kind of easier to do, like easier to go out with a group of friends kind of randomly on an afternoon than to do paintball.
Exactly. Yeah, it's easy. Not much preparation needed. Just
exactly.
Comfortable clothes and that's it.
Yeah.
Do we discuss anything else, or should we wrap it up?
I know we are late for dinner, but there's 2 more points on our checklist, I believe.
Yeah. So one of the things we did do, we had a few good discussions, and one of the discussions was that we are preparing some some versions of Nozbe, and I had to do like a wake up call for everyone that we should figure out things when we want to ship them, instead of just happily building them, and there was some backlash and some pushback, but on the other hand it provoked discussions, about trade-offs, like if we want to reach this ship date, what would we have to sacrifice, to get there, and that we can't have it all and have it by Friday. It's like you have to, if you want to ship it by this time, it's like this Seth Godin thing. He said that if you want to ship on time and on budget, when you're out of budget, you ship. When you're out of time, you ship. and this is the same thing. So we started. And it was a good discussion because we will keep this discussion after lunch today, that the trade-offs are important. So it's not like you can have it all, and essentialism again. You can have a cake and you can eat the cake. You have to figure out, if we want to ship by this date, we will have to sacrifice this and this and this and maybe this. And then if we want to ship the other date, So it was a very, very good discussion.
Yeah, the problem is that there are always trade-offs. It's your decision whether to make them explicit and you decide on those trade-offs, or make them implicit and pretend they don't exist, and then there's going to be something that's going to be lost, but you won't be the one making the call. And like we haven't been shipping that much stuff lately, and it's not because we're lazy. We're doing a lot of interesting things.
We're working really hardcore right now.
You'll see in time.
Stay tuned.
Patience you must have.
Yeah.
It will be great though.
Nozbe will be really, really great.
Yeah, but because we want to do good work, and we've spent time investing in infrastructure and new skills and whatnot, we have to tame our perfectionism.
Yes.
Because we really have to ship, and in the pace we have now, it would take too long, and we cannot allow it. So we have to make some cuts. And I actually think maybe we're still not aggressive enough with cutting. I think with a lot of things in Nozbe, we have to dig deeper and rediscover our essentialism.
Yeah,
but we'll get to discussing that after the podcast.
Exactly. So today we will wrap the reunion, and with that we will have quite a big discussion about that. So about what to. And I think for me personally, it was a good opportunity to signal, as the leader of the company, what I am prepared to sacrifice, or or which kind of trade-offs I'm prepared to take. Because very often the team, doesn't want to piss me off, so they want for me to have everything, or they think that I want everything. They think that because Michael wants it all, he must have it all, or maybe he wants it all. So it's really important for me to just articulate, like, guys, we can do this. I am prepared to sacrifice this and this and this, and then then the discussion begins. Michael, but can we also sacrifice that? What do you think? And then it just starts making sense.
No, I think this is excellent that you did that, because you tend to be very hands off with development, which is good. Like you're an integral part of the process, but you don't. It's very rare that you'd say, like, we do this period. Like, it's usually a matter of coming to a common conclusion. But all of this, like, even though we can do this, it starts from values, from the direction. And you're right. Like this is a kind of very high level to signal that I'm prepared to. I prefer to lose this over this.
Yeah. These are the trade-offs I'm prepared to make.
Yeah, and and it's important. Like we strive to do our best to create a product, but if we never ship, then we'll have to pack our bags and we'll be run out of business by competitors. And
no, because we were right now in this mindset of designing and preparing the infrastructure and all these, deep research as well.
Yeah.
I had to remind everyone, guys, this is not Google. We're not gonna be just happily researching things for the years to come. Our customers are waiting for actual products to be shipped, for actual solutions to be shipped. We want our goal is to help you get more done, and we won't do that if we don't ship a solution for that on time. So that's why it was important to say that and to reconnect with that, I think.
All right, is this all?
I think it's time to wrap it up as well. And another trade-off is that if we keep talking right now, we won't eat, and we're really, really hungry right now. So with that,
all right. Next week on my birthday, we're going to discuss iPad only.
Exactly. So stay tuned.
Bye. Bye.